So I want you to just take a second and imagine standing in this roaring Los Angeles stadium. It's June 12, 2026.
Oh man, the energy there is going to be unbelievable.
Right. The national anthems are just echoing off the concrete. And if you're listening to this deep dive, you already know the stakes here. It's a home soil World Cup, and literally an entire nation's soccer hopes are resting on just 26 men.
Yeah, the United States men's national team is heading into, without a doubt, the absolute biggest tournament in their entire history.
Exactly. And honestly, their tactical survival, like the difference between lifting a trophy and just crashing out on day one, might entirely hinge on a 21-year-old kid playing two positions at the exact same time.
Which is just a massive gamble.
It really is.
That-
So, welcome to this deep dive. Today, our mission is to completely dissect this U.S. roster.
Right.
We're going to unpack these wild tactical gambles and look at the Group D opponents that are, well, frankly, built to exploit them.
Because the pressure surrounding a home World Cup, you really just can't overstate it. You aren't just playing a sport at that point. You're carrying a whole cultural moment.
Yeah, the spotlight is blinding, and the whole identity of the program is on display. Which, speaking of identity, it's kind of fascinating right now.
No, for sure.
Like, internationally, the media still calls them the Yanks, but domestically, they are leaning so hard into that traditional Stars and Stripes aesthetic.
Have you seen those retro, 1994-inspired Nike kits?
I have. It is pure nostalgia bait, and honestly, it totally works. But if we're talking nicknames, I kind of have to go with the internet's current favorite right now.
Uh-oh, which one?
The U.S. Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay, yeah. It's hard to ignore how USMNT sounds exactly like a comic book team acronym.
Right, it rolls right off the tongue. And it's strangely fitting, because looking at the sheer weight of expectation on this squad, they are going to need literal superhero-level performances to survive this summer.
They really are.
But, well, every superhero squad needs a mastermind, right? And for the United States, that's head coach Mauricio Pochettino.
Yeah, and he hasn't just, tweaked this team. He has engineered a complete tactical revolution.
Total overhaul.
Exactly. It's a fundamental shift in their philosophy.
Yeah.
If you look at the underlying data from their 17 pre-tournament matches, Pochettino has instilled this highly aggressive, really proactive approach.
Which is so different from what we're used to seeing.
Totally. The U.S. averaged 54.8% possession.
Wow.
But here's the critical part. It's not just that empty passive possession where they just pass around the back line.
Right.
They are consistently registering over 20 touches inside the opponent's penalty area per game.
Wait, over 20?
Yeah, which is a huge metric for them.
So that means they're actively dictating the terms of engagement now? They aren't just, absorbing pressure and praying for a lucky counterattack like we've seen in past cycles.
Precisely. They're systematically breaking down defenses. It's a much more sustainable chance creation model, but it does rely heavily on his shape-shifting tactics.
Which is where I start to get a little nervous.
Right, because in possession, Pochettino transitions the squad into this highly aggressive 3-2-5 attacking shape.
Okay, yeah, here is where I have to push back a bit on Pochettino's grand vision.
Go for it.
A 3-2-5 shape requires, incredible timing and spatial awareness, right?
Absolutely.
The wingbacks bomb forward to join the attack, the center backs spread out, the midfield has to rotate perfectly. Is that just too ambitious for an international team?
It's a fair question.
Because club teams drill this every single day for months to get the timing right. These national team guys, they barely train together.
True.
Trying to execute a fluid 3-2-5 at a World Cup feels like trying to choreograph a complex Broadway dance routine over a few Zoom calls.
That is a great analogy. It is an incredibly high degree of difficulty, and, your skepticism is definitely warranted. But you have to factor in the personnel he's working with.
The so-called golden generation, right?
Exactly. We are looking at the absolute prime years for these players, and crucially, they're at elite European clubs where these complex positional systems are just standard practice.
Ah, so they already know the dance.
Right. They possess the technical baseline to execute the choreography, even on a really condensed international schedule.
Okay, let's actually look at the mechanics of that attack then. Starting with the linchpin, Christian Pulisic.
You really can't talk about the U.S. without him.
No, you can't. But what's really interesting is how Pochettino is using him now.
Yeah.
He's not just, hugging the touchline anymore.
Far from it. Pulisic operates primarily in the left half space.
And for those listening who might be visualizing the field, that's the vertical channel exactly between the opponent's center back and right back. Right?
Exactly. And by occupying that specific gap, Pulisic forces the defense into a terrible choice.
Like a catch-22.
Yeah. If the center back steps up to cover him, well, it leaves a massive hole in the middle for a striker. But if the right back tucks in to help, it leaves the entire flank wide open for a U.S. wingback to overlap.
So it's just a spatial nightmare for the defense.
Complete nightmare. And Pulisic just thrives there. I mean, he's currently sitting 4th all-time in scoring for the national team.
Which is wild at his age. And he just ended that brutal club goal drought too, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He grabbed a goal and an assist in that 3-2 friendly win against Senegal recently. He really is the creative engine.
But, okay, if Pulisic is the engine, then Weston McKennie is the transmission, making sure the whole car doesn't fall apart.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
McKennie is having a career-best season at Juventus right now, and his role in this 3-2-5 is indispensable.
Because he does all the dirty work.
Exactly. While Pulisic provides all that finesse in the half space, McKennie is the box-to-box enforcer. He handles the defensive work to balance out that super aggressive shape.
Right.
But then his late runs into the penalty box also provide an elite aerial threat.
So let's talk about who they are actually feeding the ball to. Because the striker battle is honestly the most compelling storyline in camp right now.
It really is, especially since Patrick Aubameyang tore his Achilles in April.
Yeah, which was just devastating for him. But it did clarify the depth chart. Now it is a pure two-horse race between Folarin Balogun and Ricardo Pepi.
And what's fascinating is how radically different they play the position within that exact same 3-2-5 structure.
Right. They're complete opposites.
Which is great because it gives Pochettino tremendous tactical flexibility.
So break down Balogun first.
Sure. So Balogun, coming off his season with Monaco, he is your quintessential channel runner. He constantly plays right on the shoulder of the last defender.
Just waiting to break away.
Exactly. In a 3-2-5, his entire job is to use his pace to stretch the opposition's backline as deep as possible.
Which opens up everything else.
Yes, it creates all this extra space underneath for playmakers like Pulisic to operate.
But then you have Ricardo Pepi from PSV, and he is the complete opposite. He's this link-up target man.
A totally different profile.
Yeah, if you watch that Senegal friendly, Pepi didn't actually get on the score sheet, but his hold-up play was just a masterclass.
He was brilliant.
Instead of stretching the back line, he drops deep into the midfield as a false nine.
Right, and he drags his center back with him when he does that.
Which completely disrupts the opponent's defensive structure, and then he orchestrates these beautiful transitional passing sequences.
And that's the beauty of having both profiles on the roster. Pepi creates overloads in the midfield by dropping back, while Balogun forces the defensive line to retreat by threatening the space behind them.
So Pochettino can basically dictate the whole rhythm of the attack just by choosing which striker starts the game.
Exactly. It's a great weapon to have.
Okay, so we've got a front five, pinning the opponent back, but this creates a massive, glaring math problem.
Yes. The counterattack problem.
Right. If you commit 5 players to the attack and you push wingbacks like Anthony Robinson and Sergiño Dest incredibly high up the pitch, you are leaving massive acres of empty grass behind them.
Huge spaces.
It's a total high-wire act. If they lose the ball, how is a defense with only 3 players staying back not getting absolutely torched in transition every single time?
Well, that brings us to the most vital development in the entire USMNT player pool, Alex Freeman.
The 21-year-old out of Villarreal.
Yes. He is literally the tactical glue holding this entire shape-shifting system together.
And it's just such a great background story, too. He's the son of former NFL star Antonio Freeman.
Yeah, the genetics are definitely there.
You can visibly see that elite, fast-twitch athleticism and how he covers ground on the pitch.
His physical gifts are immense, for sure. But his rapid rise from the Orlando City Academy straight to starting in Europe, that is entirely due to his tactical intelligence.
Because he plays this crazy hybrid role, right?
Exactly. He played a hybrid role that essentially solves Pochettino's math problem.
Break down the mechanics of that for us, because honestly, it sounds exhausting.
It is. So when the U.S. has possession and Dest and Robinson fly forward, Freeman shifts inside. He acts as a wide right center back, forming a back three to anchor the defense.
God.
But the absolute millisecond the U.S. loses the ball and the opponent starts a counter, Freeman has to seamlessly shift wide into a traditional right back role.
Wow.
Yeah, and this allows the rest of the defense to slide over and reform it to a solid 4-4-2 or, a 4-2-3-1 block.
The cognitive load there is just insane. I mean, he has to play two entirely different positions based completely on who currently possesses the ball.
Constantly reading the game.
And if he is a half-second late in recognizing a turnover, the entire right flank is just hopelessly exposed.
Exactly. Without Freeman's unique ability to pivot between center back and fullback like that, the aggressive 3-2-5 would simply collapse under its own weight.
But even with Freeman putting out fires all over the pitch, we do have to talk about the cracks in the armor.
Yeah, they are definitely there.
Because if you look at the underlying data, opponents are actually converting chances against the U.S. at a much higher rate than expected. This system is structurally fragile.
It's a massive vulnerability. Because they commit so many bodies forward, a sloppy turnover in the midfield isn't just a mistake, it's catastrophic.
Right. Look at that same 3-2 Senegal friendly we mentioned.
Oh, that back pass.
Yes. The U.S. dominated the tempo, but center back Miles Robinson played a disastrous misplaced back pass.
It was so bad.
It completely stranded the goalkeeper and basically gifted Sadio Mane a tap-in.
And, that mistake highlights an even bigger crisis right now. The goalkeeper situation.
Oh, boy. Yeah. If you're listening to this and wondering, hey, why haven't they mentioned Matt Turner, the hero of 2022? It's because he has been completely unseated.
Yeah, he just failed to secure club minutes in Europe, and you can't have that in a World Cup year.
Nope.
And a team that relies on a high defensive line like Pochettino's absolutely requires a confident, sweeping goalkeeper to clean up those mistakes behind the defense.
And right now, the U.S. just doesn't have a proven anchor back there.
It is highly volatile.
Totally. Matt Freese from NYCFC won the job after an amazing 2025 Gold Cup, but his club form has dipped significantly heading into this tournament.
And he only has 14 caps.
Exactly. And behind him, Chris Brady. 0 competitive caps.
Yeah, 0.
Heading into a home World Cup with a goalkeeper room completely devoid of high-stakes international tournament experience is frankly terrifying.
It is, because goalkeeper nerves are highly contagious.
Oh, for sure.
If the center backs don't fully trust the keeper behind them, they subconsciously start dropping 5 yards deeper to protect him.
And that ruins the shape.
Exactly. Completely fractures Pochettino's 3-2-5 shape because the midfield suddenly gets stretched out.
And if you think the defense is stretched, we need to look at the midfield crisis. Because just weeks before the tournament, they suffered the worst possible blow.
Johnny Cardoso.
Yeah. Arguably their most informed defensive midfielder at Atletico Madrid ruled out with ankle surgery.
It's a brutal loss.
Sure.
His ability to break up counters was really the primary safety net for this whole system. Losing him changes the entire defensive calculus for the team.
It does. But honestly, what completely baffles me is Pochettino's response to it.
The roster choices.
Yes.
Okay.
To replace Cardoso, he didn't call up solid European-based midfielders like Tanner Tessman or Aidan Morris.
No, he didn't.
He chose to take only 4 true central midfielders on the entire 26-man roster. Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Sebastian Berhalter, and Christian Roldan.
It's unbelievable.
Taking only 4 midfielders to a World Cup is like going on a cross-country road trip through the Sahara Desert without a spare tire.
It is a shocking gamble on player durability, especially when you factor in Tyler Adams.
Right, because Adams is the premier defensive destroyer on this roster.
Exactly. He covers an immense amount of ground to break up transitions, but by the very nature of his role, he has a highly aggressive tackling style.
He is a total yellow card magnet. It's just a byproduct of how he has to play.
Right. And in the World Cup group stage, accumulating 2 yellow cards triggers an automatic 1-game suspension.
Oh, man.
If Adams picks up 2 yellows, which, let's be honest, is highly probable, the U.S. loses their only elite defensive midfielder.
And then what?
Well, because Pochettino only brought 4 players for those central spots, and Adams' suspension forces either Sebastian Berhalter, a young player with minimal international experience, or Christian Roldan to anchor the midfield in a high-stakes knockout match.
Okay, so if transition defense and a razor-thin midfield are the glaring weaknesses here, let's look at who they are actually playing in Group D, because it feels like the draw was almost reverse-engineered to test these exact flaws.
It really does.
Starting June 12th in L.A. against Paraguay, what are we looking at there?
So Paraguay is coached by Gustavo Alfaro, and he has successfully drilled them in this deeply entrenched Paraguayan DNA.
Meaning what, exactly?
Meaning they will set up in a very stubborn low-block 4-4-2.
Okay, so how does the U.S.'s 3-2-5 break down a low-block 4-4-2?
It requires meticulous spatial manipulation. A low block means Paraguay's midfield four sits right on top of their back four.
So they're just suffocating the half spaces where Pulisic wants to operate.
Exactly. The U.S. will likely dominate possession, but they will have to rapidly swing the ball from side to side to fatigue that Paraguayan block and force gaps to open up.
And if the U.S. gets impatient and, tries to force a sloppy pass through the middle?
Paraguay will trigger a vertical counterattack instantly.
Yikes.
And you also have to worry about Julio Enciso from the Premier League.
Oh, right.
If Paraguay can't get all the way into the box, Enciso is perfectly capable of just launching long-range shots. Against an inexperienced, volatile goalkeeper room, that is a highly effective tactic.
Okay, so then on June 19th, they fly up to Seattle to face Australia. And the Socceroos under Tony Popovich play a very different style, don't they?
Very different. They utilize a physical 3-4-2-1 system that is heavily focused on transition play. Australia is honestly arguably the worst stylistic matchup for the U.S. in this entire group.
Really? Worse than Turkey?
Structurally, yes. They have a dual threat that is perfectly tailored to exploit Pochettino's high-wire act.
What's the first threat?
First, they have the explosive pace of Nestori Irankunda on the wings.
Oh.
When Dest and Robinson push forward, Irankunda will just be sprinting into those massive acres of empty space on the counter.
And their second threat attacks the goalkeeper vulnerability, I'm guessing.
Exactly. Harry Sotar.
Oh, the giant center back.
Yes. He is massive, and he crashes the box on set pieces. Imagine you are Chris Brady or Matt Freese. You're already nervous, and you have to command your penalty area against a giant like Sotar on a corner kick.
It is a terrifying prospect for a young keeper.
Truly terrifying.
Finally, June 25th, back in L.A. against Turkey. This feels like the main event of the group stage.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Vincenzo Montella has Turkey playing this beautiful 4-2-3-1, and while they don't have a proven clinical number 9, I mean, Canizun is highly rated, but he's still pretty green.
Yeah.
They are absolutely stacked with elite playmakers.
Stacked. Arda Güler from Real Madrid and Kenan Yıldız from Juventus.
Yeah.
Turkey will not sit back in a low block like Paraguay. They will actively fight for possession in the center of the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be the ultimate test for that razor-thin U.S. midfield.
Right, because if Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie are fatigued from the travel and the first two games,
They will be.
Turkey's playmakers will just feast in those pockets of space right in front of the center backs. It really has all the makings of a high-octane shootout.
It does. And, tournaments are often won by teams that can just suffer defensively, stay compact, and grind out an ugly 1-0 result.
Yeah.
The great unknown for this U.S. squad is whether they have the midfield depth and the defensive discipline to survive a real technical onslaught from a team like Turkey.
Okay, let's pull all of these threads together for everyone listening, because this USMNT squad is truly a team of massive extremes.
Without a doubt.
You have the deepest, most technically gifted attacking pool in program history, orchestrated by Pochettino's incredibly aggressive 3-2-5 system, but they are plagued by a highly inexperienced goalkeeper room, massive vulnerability to counterattacks, and a frankly dangerous lack of midfield depth.
They are definitely built to entertain, and they have the firepower to blow past teams if the system clicks. But the margins for error are just microscopic.
Which brings me to a final, slightly terrifying strategic reality for you to mull over.
I know where you're going with this.
Right now, every pundit and fan is hyper-focused on the team simply escaping Group D. Just get out of the group, right?
Yeah, that's the narrative.
But escaping isn't enough. Where they finish in the group changes absolutely everything about their tournament survival.
This is where tournament bracketology becomes just as important as the actual tactics on the pitch.
Exactly. Let's say the U.S. slips up. Maybe they draw Turkey or get caught on a bad counter against Australia, and they finish second in Group D instead of first. Finishing second drops them into what the bracket calls Path B, and Path B is an absolute logistical nightmare.
It alters the entire physical toll of the tournament, which, as we discussed, is the primary weakness of a roster with only 4 central midfielders.
Right. If they finish second, they play their round of 32 match in Dallas, likely against a powerhouse runner-up from Group G, like, say, Belgium.
Which is already a brutal draw.
But even if they pull off a miracle and survive Belgium, the geography of Path B is punishing. They face an exhausting, multi-time zone travel gauntlet.
So bad.
From the blistering heat of Dallas, they have to fly out to Atlanta for the round of 16. Then they fly all the way out to Kansas City in the Midwest for the quarterfinals. And then all the way back across the country to Atlanta for the semifinals.
Think about the compounding fatigue there.
It's staggering.
You combine thousands of miles of high-pressure travel across different climates and time zones, short rest periods, and a high-intensity possession system.
Yeah.
It is exponential wear and tear on a midfield that literally doesn't have a spare tire.
One mistake in the group stage, literally just one momentary lapse in spatial awareness against Paraguay, or one missed tackle against Australia, might trigger a travel schedule that physically defeats the USMNT before their knockout round opponents even take the field.
It is the ultimate test of resilience. Can a squad built for technical beauty actually survive the brutal, grinding reality of tournament logistics?
That is the big question. So picture it again, June 12, 2026. You are standing in that roaring Los Angeles stadium. The whistle is about to blow. We came into this deep dive looking for a simple diagnosis of this team's chances, but, well, there is no simple answer here.
No, definitely not.
They possess the attacking superpowers to win it all and the structural mathematical flaws to lose it on day one. Which USMNT will show up? I guess we are about to find out.